I see data and insight and analytics as a way to unlock the creative process even further than it has been before. And I think that attitude is shared by the creative directors that we talk to and that are within the Omnicom community. And that is a perspective that has changed over time. There was certainly a sentiment that creativity shouldn't be hampered in by data. It was going to reduce the creative process to an algorithm or a math equation, and you're going to lose the heart of creativity by simply reducing it to an algorithm. And that approach, I think, has definitely changed over the last couple of months and is starting to reach a fever pitch. At Annalect, we've also learned how to communicate with the creative directors about what data can do for that process and how that can change and unlock new ways of thinking about problem solving for brand.
So give us a little bit of an idea, maybe either specifically or some activations or kind of how this works.
Mm-hmm. Probably the best example is what we've been doing with some of our creative partners around what we call programmatic creative. So this is the idea, and it may seem like a contradiction in terms when you first say it out loud, but this is what we call using data and automated processes to deliver a very unique and personalized creative experience for the end consumer. We've all talked about what the ultimate promise of the internet is and was, which is one-to-one communication at scale. Well, that's really hard to do in the digital space. It's really hard to do from a creative perspective. And we've used programmatic media and automated data systems to help inform and drive and optimize a media buy for, the last 5 or so years, as long as programmatic media has been around. And we're finally able to turn that perspective to the creative process and the creative aspect of it, because while we were optimizing the heck out of the media plan, every single person was getting that same creative message. And, to talk to a creative about a personalized experience, that just lights them up. That's something that, is helping them deliver on the ultimate dream of what their creative concept is going to deliver.
So how does that look then? So let's say for an automotive manufacturer, just generically speaking, how would it be sort of customized with data for me versus you, or how would that work?
So it works based on everything that we can possibly know about you. It's great if we have first-party data. If you've gone to a dealership before and you've maybe given them your email address and they know that you've got a preference for red cars and convertibles. That way we're never going to send you information on a truck or a white car or something with tan interiors, because we know you don't like that. And that's, I think, a different approach than we've taken in the past, which is you fit a general profile of someone who likes trucks. So therefore, we're going to give you this ad associated with trucks. Now we can get much more specific and individualized as to what kind of preferences and what kind of brand preferences you might have. And we can also bring in other data sources that really refine that, not only talk about your car preferences, but when do you like to shop for cars? Is it your Friday afternoon moment of zen when you want to look and fantasize about a particular car model? So there's lots of different ways that we can customize and personalize that experience.
What looks like an activation around creative using programmatic creative, as you call it? What might that look like?
Well, it looks like a very simple but really exciting user interface that would be something new for a creative director to sink their teeth into and frankly get their hands dirty within. We've partnered with a number of different technology providers, Adobe, Flash Talking, et cetera, to develop a back-end system that allows creative directors to think about the briefing process a little bit differently and thinking about creative development, but also reorchestration of that creative. And that's to say that beautiful concepts and great creative ideas are not going away. In fact, they become even more important. What does change about that creative process is thinking about all of the innumerable subsegments of people that are going to be exposed to this kind of creative. And how might that creative be tweaked and changed? And how might the call to action slightly adjust? What does that do to the color palette? What does that do to the product set that we're looking at? And that gives a creative some really interesting freedom and flexibility to think about all the iterations of that particular beautiful creative idea. And that's the biggest change that I see. Instead of simply laminating concept 1, concept 2, and concept 3, there are hundreds of permutations of concept 1, concept 2, and concept 3. And it allows creatives to develop this without clients having to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on lots of resizes. It allows a creative director to very quickly and easily reorchestrate that creative concept into a way that's going to be meaningful for person A that's different than person B.
So Aaron, so where does that stand? Is that sort of a concept? Are you guys testing that out? Are there campaigns going on?
Mm-hmm. We've got a number of campaigns going on with 10 of our clients right now in beta testing, and it's been going fantastically well. So we're looking to roll that out across all of our clients by the end of Q3.
So typically a campaign where someone, for a client, you guys did a 30-second spot, how many versions would there be? There's no cookie cutter solution,
right.
but what does it mean, for example? How many subsegments of what would normally just be your 3 or 4 spots for a particular campaign, you would have 20, 50, 100, or?
It really is innumerable, but of course you can't get too cute about it. We're not really going to create a million different versions of this. What we do is start with the data and insights and think about the right kinds of segmentation. For one QSR client, we saw 90 subsegments, and those were really important subsegments, and some of them had minor differences to them. So we tested out 90 subsegments. Turns out it's really 30 subsegments that really are going to make up the bulk of the sales that we're trying to achieve. So when we think about those 30 subsegments, the variables associated with that could be call to action, it could be color palette, the actual product featured, the promotion that QSR is doing at that particular moment. So when you think of 4 different variables against 30 different subsegments, it does get into the hundreds of different permutations of that creative.
What about using data to make television advertising addressable on a one-to-one basis? We've been talking about that with a lot of people. It's still early on,
yep.
But the technology, particularly through satellite and through some of the operators like Cablevision, they do provide ways to deliver a personalized, specific advertising to a set-top box. Where do you see that going, and what would be the role of Annalect?
I think it's only going to expand and grow. Annalect, like a number of other agencies, has done a number of pilot tests with some of the cable providers. Rentrack has been an incredible partner from a data perspective on really understanding individual set-top box data sets and how we can mine those data sets and really get at the insights around how we're going to deliver preference. I think it's only going to grow, and I think it's been incredibly valuable that we've had this experience in the digital space to really start to understand how to best develop different kinds of creative on a one-to-one basis so that we can really get it right once the TV market for addressability starts to mature. I think one of the challenges that we see in digital marketing and the ability that we can deliver one-to-one communication is that we've all gone to Amazon and looked at a pair of shoes, and then have had that same pair of shoes follow us around the internet for like the rest of the day or the rest of your week. And maybe you've even bought those shoes, or maybe you just were looking, you don't like them. It has nothing to do with your preferences. But I think creatively we can get better about delivering sequential experiences and experiences that deliver on the real customer journey, not just simply retargeting someone with the same ad creative over and over again. So I think we've got a chance to learn as much as possible in the digital space and get it right. So by the time the addressable TV market really starts to mature, we're able to deliver on the kind of experience that a consumer is going to expect.